And now, it's time for The Dating Doctor.
Prescribed by Dr. Carlos
and Physicians Assistant Steve Estrada.
We are back. It's the Dating Doctor show. And I do have to announce that our illustrious leader, our Dr. Carlos, is on vacation again. He's in Hawaii.
Wow.
This guy is living the life. Let me tell you, I guess being a doctor pays off.
And being a principal-centered doctor pays off.
Principal-centered doctor. So, aloha, Dr. Carlos. So, your physician's assistant, Steve Estrada, me, is running the show today. And we have a great team here with us. We have returning our terrific partner, Miss Della Lisi Kerr.
Yes, hello.
Woo! She is here with her gigantic smile. And then we have one of our favorites, Austin, returning.
How are you guys doing?
Austin is here. And we are very excited to give you our version of the Dating Doctor show today. And before we get started, I just want to remind you guys that you're listening to the Dating Doctor on KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 and 106.5 FM in the Inland Empire. And today, the show is brought to you by Elevate Health Hyperbaric Oxygen Therapy, the latest innovation in the pursuit of optimal health.
Yes.
All right, so another week. This is season 2, episode, I think it's episode 6.
Yes, it is.
My goodness, it seems like we've been doing this forever.
Or just a minute.
But we're hopefully we're getting better. I do want to remind you guys that the T-shirts are back in supply. We were back ordered for a couple of days, but that order came in. And
Are you wearing one right now?
Well, I it's inside out, so you can't see.
Oh, very nice.
I'm not sure about how this is going to go over out there when I'm at the gas station.
Gotcha.
Yet. Don't want to scare anybody.
Right. Don't want to be mobbed.
But we've got the back order in, and we've now got XXX. So for you big romantic lovers, we've got you
like
covered.
Me.
Yes. No, not like you.
They
You
need
are
loving
not
too.
triple. That's right. Everybody needs loving. So as we begin the show today, I want to remind you guys that we're going to be, again, continuing with our foundational Baker's Dozen principles. We've got about 5 more to share with you, and I do want to make sure that as you're taking notes, and I know you are, please make sure you follow what we've got today, because these are real golden nuggets. I do want to begin with some recent dating experiences that I've had. As you guys know, or may not know, I'm a single guy, and I'm out there in the dating world operating from a principle-centered perspective.
Wow.
And Della actually is going to share with us what we think would be an example of a principle-centered approach to online dating.
There you go.
Some ideas for a profile and that sort of thing. And if you've ever been online and you read a few of these profiles, it's pretty wacky out there. So just be ready for hopefully some good information. But I do want to share a couple of things that happened to me recently. And one of our Dirty Dozen questions is, what is your primary philosophy on life? And I do like to talk about that question because my favorite part of asking that question is to watch the person attempt to come up with an answer.
Squirm.
Because let's face it, we're not asked this question every day, right? What is your primary philosophy on life? Now, my philosophy, I have a good answer because I'm prepared and I know, and I've been using this in not only my personal life but also in business. And my philosophy is, the more people that I help get what they want, the more that I can get what I want. And it applies literally in everything I do. If I'm out there from a perspective of giving and thinking of others first, good things are going to come my way. It's just, it's a natural progression, right? So I just want to remind you guys, if you don't have a philosophy on life, the reason I'm bringing this up is because, think about it. What is your take on your role here on Earth for the 70, 80, 90 years that you're going to be here? and start to think about, how are you representing yourself out there? And it starts with your paradigm. It starts with what you think about. So please, if you don't have a philosophy, start working on one and get ready for that dating doctor question from our Dirty Dozen, because it could happen, right?
It could be on a date with one of us, and we're going to ask that question.
That's right. Now, Della, I know you've been out there dating, and I know you've asked a few of these questions. Do you have any interesting stories about philosophy on life that have come your way?
Well, it's interesting. What I have found, as you noted, people do kind of squirm on a question like that because it is so intimate. But I wanted to make a comment on your philosophy.
Okay.
Because your philosophy is that the more people you help get what they want, the more likely you're going to get what you want.
Right.
And you know what that works on is a neurotransmitter, a brain chemical that secretes in both the giver and the receiver. You're both secreting oxytocin and serotonin and dopamine when you do something for someone else.
The science.
They get it. They get those same neurotransmitters going on in their brain when they receive the joyous giving that you give. So there is a biological aspect to your philosophy of life, Steve, and I think that's so valuable.
My philosophy is scientific.
Your philosophy is biologically based.
It's backed by research.
I am liking this even more than I did before.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you think about that, Austin?
I love it. I think she's absolutely correct, and like I said, the gift that keeps on giving. I think we get a lot of satisfaction and gratification out of helping people, get what they want. And, almost more than when we get what we want. I think there's something to that.
Well,
I must be on the right track here.
You must be. So what have you found when you ask the other person? You just asked me, and I told you that they squirm because generally a date is considered something light and fluffy, and this is a job interview question, sort of exactly. And usually I'll get the I want to do good and be kind and that sort of thing, but there doesn't seem to be any foundation in that answer.
I get more of what you just described, something more general. I've heard the golden rule: do unto others as you'd have them do
unto you.
Unto you. Treat people like you want to be treated, that sort of thing, which is fine. That's good, and that should be part of it. But it's not specific. So that's been my experience. I had one person share, the first person that I did these questions with, and she had a great answer, and it was tied in with her going to nursing school and wanting to help families with babies who are going through challenges. She wanted to be a NICU.
Yeah.
Like neonatal little babies who are having trouble,
right?
And that's what she sees as her philosophy. She wants to help families with babies that are having trouble. I was like, that's fantastic. That's a great philosophy. And her education and how she volunteers her time and causes that she belongs to and cares about. It's part of her world. So I saw that as very valuable. So the other thing that came up, another one of the Dirty Dozen questions is, how close are you to your parents?
Oh, that's a good one.
Now, this might seem like an odd question in the beginning, right? But it is a very good question because it tells us a lot about the individual. And one of the things that it tells us is what is going on in your family life. And I think our family lives are a great measure of, what we're about. So when we talk about our parents, sometimes a great relationship with our parents is difficult because sometimes you're dealing with an elder parent, or sometimes it's a relationship that's had all sorts of bumps in the road, and there's history behind it. So we talked about it, and in this most recent date, and I shared with her my situation. My father passed away a few years. We had a very difficult relationship in the last few years. But it was more on him in that he didn't want to interact with me for reasons that he chose. I tried everything I could to mend it, but it wasn't mendable. And I was good that I made the effort. I was good with, I made a strong effort. With my mom, she's older now, 89 almost, very, very challenged, with, her mind is not quite as what it used to be, mobility, health issues, but we have a great relationship. And so I shared that. And so her relationship story was her father had passed, and that was, good when he was alive. Her mother currently, they do not have a good relationship. And so I saw her, her body language, which I always pay a lot of attention to. Because you can tell when somebody is squirming, when they're being honest, when they're trying to be evasive. You can really tell a lot by just looking. And so her answer was that she does not have a good relationship with her mother. And she talked a little bit about it, but what ended up being her position as to why it wasn't a good quality, it was the mother's fault. There were all these things wrong with the mother. And she literally said in so many words, she was a victim. She was a victim to her mother. And so when I saw that and heard that, I go, that's a red flag.
Yeah, that's a concern.
What do you guys think here? I mean, am I close?
I think you're spot on, because let's face it, you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family.
Yeah. And
your family is the cards you've been dealt. But that doesn't mean that a principled-centered person can't have a formative relationship. And the fact that she felt she had been victimized, we've talked about victimization a lot on this show. And so where is her circle of influence? Is she spending time introspectively getting her own foundation?
Her circle of influence is exactly what I thought of. Good point. And I forgot to mention one other thing. She threw out that she wanted to start talking about her children and that she had good relationship with her children. And that's not the question at all.
It was almost like her trying to make
and then she made a statement. She made a statement, and she said that her daughter, who's currently the last one living at home and in college, is her soulmate. She described her daughter as her soulmate. And that one answer threw me off to where I was pretty much done with this. We're not going out again.
No, you're not?
We're not, because I thought it was just odd.
Yeah.
I thought it was odd, number one.
Where is her availability for a true romantic soulmate if
that's what I thought.
Her daughter's
That's
position?
what I thought. Be her parent. Don't be her best friend.
Right.
Be her parent. Don't be her best friend is what was in my head.
Or is that a block so that she can't get close to you?
I don't know what it is, but it was a red flag, and I don't need to find out because I'm not going to find out, right? So, guys, we're about there with our first segment, and I think it was nice and energetic. And thanks for your contributions. So we're going to see you guys on the other end of this first break. Thank you very much.
It's so lonely, baby.
So lonely.
It's so lonely. I could die.
Wow.
That sounds
serious.
I could die. Well, I don't know if we're going to die from a bad date, but hey, I guess anything's possible. Welcome back, folks. You are listening to The Dating Doctor on KCAA 1050 AM and 102.3 and 106.5 FM in the Inland Empire. And today our show is brought to you by meetingsinglesnow.com, where we bring you the best events to meet quality singles. And please look forward to our events because they're going to be off the hook.
I can't wait. We're gonna be so
All right,
fun.
so we're back, and our second segment is here. And Della has a very interesting bit of info she wants to share with us. We talk about principle-centered dating, right?
We do.
We are a principle-centered dating show. We're teaching people how to do this, and we're using principles as the foundation, that deep-rooted approach to what are you about, and then what are you looking for out there in a mate. And we believe that if you get those principles as the foundation between the two of you, you're going to have success at a very high level. And that's the goal of the Dating Doctor Show. That's what it's all about. And it's not just romantic relationships.
No.
It's all of your relationships. Family, co-workers, friends, strangers walking down the street. Are you loving humanity or are you picking and choosing? Well, we love everybody, and we teach on this show. So, Della, why don't you take us off here and let us hear about this this principle-centered dating perspective?
I would be happy to, Steve. Thanks. One of the things that I found, as most of our listeners know, I am a widow, and therefore my dating is a little bit different because I went from having a husband to not having a husband in a matter of hours. So when I look on dating sites, because now that's the way to get next to folks, I see things like, I see dating profiles that say things like, I love to travel, drink wine, and I love all sun sports. My friends say I'm the happiest person around. How absurd could those things be? So what I thought I would do is I decided to put out a principle-centered dating profile.
Beautiful. And before you go on, because we do want to hear that, I just want you guys to know that I'm on the dating sites. I'm on the dating sites. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And I've tried this one and that one. Well, the Plenty of Fish, we've talked about that one. There was Fitness Singles.
Fitness singles. So you can work out.
It's people who are into fitness, and you guys know I'm into fitness.
Yes, you are.
And then I've done Match.com.
Match.
Yeah, Match.com.
Are we allowed to say the names of these companies?
I think we can. I think we can.
Okay.
But I'm not sure.
Well, this is basically free advertising. What sites have you been on?
Okay, we can't say those.
We cannot?
My engineer has just whispered in my ear. Those are okay to say.
Oh, excellent. There we go. They got
terrific. So I just want to tell you guys that what Della just described is very common. The nonsense that I read with the fantasy worlds that these people are trying to portray, it's like, snap out of it. Snap out of it. You put your pants on one leg at a time too, Missy.
Exactly.
So, calm down over there with I'm the happiest person on earth.
I'm the happiest person on the earth.
Okay,
all my friends say I'm the happiest person.
Yeah, well, what do they know, right?
Who are your friends?
So, Della, shine some light on this, please.
Yeah, here we go. So this is the profile that I have put on a dating site, and I choose to leave that dating site remaining nameless. And this is what I said. I said, I follow a principle-centered life. Straight off. Let them know straight up I'm not looking for sunsets, pina coladas, and hand-holding.
Oh, those don't sound too bad.
They don't sound too bad if it's with a principle-centered person. And so I wrote, I am looking for the same in my guy. While I love traveling and fine dining, I work in my circle of influence. With compassion, I think, temperament, and then I made a comment about maybe I lose my temperament on the 405 during rush hour. And then honesty. And I look forward to experiencing those things with you. We'll spend time playing sun sports when I know we can interact with our communities, meaning our fellow man or woman, with kindness, courage, collaboration, and respect.
Good ones.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
I use discipline and industry in my hard work with my personal development in my job. And my friends and family say I'm the happiest person around because I practice humility, patience, and love with them all.
Oh, boy.
It shows.
So I think I
saw
hit
the
all
list.
12
You saw the list of our Baker's dozen there.
There you go. Just went Baker's dozen right off the bat.
How was the feedback?
Well, I have to be honest. There was quite a bit more feedback than I had expected. Okay. I have to be honest. These are not easy concepts. These are not the kind of trite fluff that one would expect. Not. Austin, in your experience, you've been on some dating sites. Tell us what you think of my profile versus the profile you've seen.
Night and day.
Really?
Night and
day.
Wow.
Absolutely. I've seen a lot of people, whether it has been Tinder or Bumble, and they might not have anything on there. It might just be pictures. So there might be no description. I mean, you have the option. So it really could just be based off of looks. And you just take it from there.
Strictly looks.
Strictly looks.
Wow. I think there's a lot to be said for attraction. Now, what that might be for each person is different, but they don't give you any indication of what their life is like? What they're looking for in a date?
Not at all. Not at all. No, that's that might not be what they're trying to do.
Wait a minute. They just care about how you look?
In some cases.
Oh,
in some
well,
cases.
with him, I'm sure you
let's
lit up the board.
qualify this.
Awfully good.
Austin looks like a model, just so you guys
Austin is
know.
extremely
So he's got an advantage or maybe a disadvantage of what he's attracting here. I don't know.
Good judgment. I like that.
Yeah, that's a very good possibility. You're very attractive, as Steve just mentioned, and so I would imagine that you would light the board up, as it were. But are these women of any quality? Where did this go?
If they are of quality, I didn't take the time or effort to really pursue it.
And why was that?
For me, it was really stemming from ego. And I was aware of it the whole time that, if there is a very attractive woman on there, if I am able to get that match, it was almost like a job well done. That was about it.
Wow.
That's the goal, huh?
That was the goal. And if she's like, an hour or so away, I know I'm not going to put in the time and effort to drive out there and do what we do. It's just that's not my priority. But in that spur of the moment, the priority was just getting the match. And once that was successful, it was like my ego had taken what it needed. And that was about it.
You got that like that we all look for in Facebook
and
lots of
Instagram,
swiping right.
Yeah.
I need likes. Likes are very important. The food of the gods, apparently, nowadays.
Exactly.
Yep.
Again.
Like my post. Like my picture.
Yeah, it was temporary satisfaction.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Temporary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now going forward, I wonder, because now you're part of our world here, Principal Center. We work together, so you're learning things that maybe hadn't been as prevalent in your life necessarily.
Absolutely.
So how has that changed you? Because I'm curious.
Well, I'm not on those apps anymore.
Okay.
I don't want to be taking chances on those,
Okay.
and I just know myself. I'm like before. I'm not gonna go out of my way and go meet these people. I'd rather do it through friends or going out in Newport, wherever it may be. That's the way I want to do it. So I think I'm taking a different approach. It might not be just strictly on appearance at that point, just like it was on
Not
Twitter.
strictly on appearance.
Not strictly.
Well, let's talk about that, because you heard the words, not strictly on appearance. Now, in the world out there, we know that people look at the attractiveness quotient. What does somebody look like? And the general rule of thumb is, if you have a certain look that you're looking for, and you think you can get that look, you hyper focus on going after that. And it's almost ridiculous, because, well, what goes along with that? And the answer to that question might not be much.
Or it could be instant intimacy, which is not what a principle-centered relationship would be.
Yeah, there you go. She's hot. She says he's hot.
He's hot.
Let's hook up. And it's like, well, okay, is that what you're looking for? Is that what you want? And I guess it's okay if that's what you want, but the Dating Doctor show is not about that superficiality. I mean, I say looks matter, and I think most of us can say looks matter. It's hard to say they don't. But that, well, in this format of our show, there is so much more that's important. I mean, I have a profile that I have out there, and I've completely changed it since I've started doing this program and learning these things.
So you went from I drink fine wine and like to travel.
I never use that one because I drink beer.
Okay, well, so I drink fine craft beer.
A nice fine IPA. Is there one of those? I don't know. I just take what's on tap,
Right.
right?
You went from the superficial to a principle-centered profile?
Well, what I did is I designed my profile and the verbiage in it to be very specific to communicate. I am looking for someone that sees value in the principles. And I have my list of principles. We have our baker's dozen of principles. I literally have a couple of sentences, and then I say, this is what I'm looking for. And I go, I'm looking for kindness. I'm looking for industry. I'm looking for respect. I'm looking for honesty, and I just go down the list of, I probably have, I would say, 12 to 15 principles, just comma, comma, comma,
Right,
comma, comma.
Like this.
And I say, this is what I am looking for, and this is what I'm willing to offer someone.
Like that.
And
I have the verbiage in there. I'm looking for a principle-centered relationships. What's your measurement? What is your focal point? What is your foundation? Well, it's these principles. Is it complicated? It's only complicated in that it's not easy to do this. It's not easy to be principle-centered. But if you ask for my blueprint, there it is.
Yeah.
It's a couple of sentences with these
Exactly.
12 to 15 words, and then I say things I like. I like to play guitar. I like to dance. I like fitness.
Karaoke.
I like karaoke. Yeah.
He's good at karaoke.
Whoa, wait a minute.
I put
Ladies and
that stuff-
gentlemen, you sing karaoke?
I do, and apparently I'm okay.
Yeah.
I have witnessed
Well,
it.
we've heard
I have
him do
witnessed.
Lou Rawls here, and he's
Lou Rawls.
Lou Rawls last week.
Oh, I don't know. Lou
Intro,
Rawls. I wish I could sing like Lou Rawls.
intro to the show last week. That was remarkable. But I
Well,
bet there's a John Fogerty future for you.
Green River is a big hit when I do that one.
Well, what I find really interesting as a woman who
Mhm.
would look at, say, a profile of yours
Mhm.
that talks about principle centered,
Mhm.
right off the bat, I would know that you are completely transparent. This is what you
Mhm.
want. This is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
None of this fluff. There isn't going to be any. There are no smoke and mirrors with you,
No.
because not only are you so vehement about it in terms of the principles, but you lay it right out. That's the foundation. So if
Mhm.
you are a man of kindness and respect, you can't be a player.
No. And, I guess I'll admit it, but I was a player for a long time.
Mhm.
I've been single for a little over 30 years. And
What? How is that even possible?
it's possible. Married my high school sweetheart. And
Aw.
I've been single since about 31.
Wow.
And I just turned 60. Well, I'm going to be 62. What am I talking about? But yeah, I played the field.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't even want to get into the stories because it's kind of embarrassing now as I'm doing this dating doctor show. But I'm not that guy anymore. I am not that guy anymore, and I changed gradually. But then when I met Carlos and we started focusing on principles and principle-centered living and reading books, and I'm like, well, that he's gone. He's the past. There's a new Steve in town, right?
So, should we get a hold of those young ladies from the 90s and early 2000s and let them know that it's a new Steve?
Oh my
It's a
goodness,
new
that
Steve.
would be a whole.
Would that be a whole nother show?
There are lots of those ladies out there. This would be very interesting.
Another thing that I noticed when you were explaining that is that if you don't have the flashy car and the, all of those images that you were talking about, then the person that's looking at your profile wouldn't be blinded by that sort of thing. They would be able to recognize and focus on the quality person that you are.
Absolutely.
So there
Mhm.
wouldn't be a waste of time. There wouldn't be a lot of let's get to know each other and that sort of thing. Wasting one's.
And I just wanted to touch, the fact that your profile is different, it's going to separate you from the rest of the men that these women are seeing, their profiles.
Yep.
I would imagine.
And so I think that's where, the response that you're going to get back is going to be different than what you're used to, but also maybe the caliber of those women, they're obviously going to be more in line with these principles and what you want in a person. So I
Yeah.
think you're kind of, helping your chances
Right.
of finding someone, that would be a good fit for you.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that, and I'm looking forward to, finding that person that gets it, that sees these things as valuable as they are. Not a lot yet. I mean, because I'm very selective as to how I do this.
Right, exactly.
A very slow process for me, but anyway, time will tell. So, we're about there for our next break, guys. I just want to encourage everybody to listen up to our final segment where we're going to get into those last 5 principles that are part of our Baker's Dozen of the foundational principles. Okay, so we'll see you guys on the other end. I don't know if anybody even knows this song.
Oh, it's beautiful.
But this is a song that's called Alone Again Or, and it's a song that was a hit in the 60s by a band called Love. And I was a kid in the 60s. Great
You were
song.
A kid in the
I was
60s.
a kid in the 60s.
Woo!
And then this song was redone by a band called The Damned. And they do a tremendous version of it, as we were listening to right now. And it's a really cool video. And this was probably in the 80s? When was this? 80s?
1987.
1987.
Yeah.
Okay, so, gosh, 30 years ago?
Whoa.
87, is that 30 years ago? Oh, my goodness. 30 years ago, I was just, I think I just got divorced.
Yeah,
Holy
I was born
mackerel.
in 77, so 87.
Yeah. So anyway, hey guys, you're back. Welcome. You're listening to The Dating Doctor on KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 and 106.5 FM in the Inland Empire. And again, today the show is brought to you by Elevate Health, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, the latest innovation in the pursuit of optimal health. So we are back for our final segment. I do want to say hello to our buddy Sean Sneed.
Back by unpopular.
He was back by unpopular
Yes,
demand, right? I forgot your tagline. Sorry,
That's
buddy.
his tagline.
And Summer, his lovely wife, my daughter, is here too.
Hello.
And they're here joining us for the last segment. So as I had mentioned, we wanted to talk about our final principles of our Baker's Dozen. We've been chipping away at that for the last couple of weeks, and sometimes it runs a little long simply because these principles are so darn important.
They are.
And, they can be very deep, and I hope you guys are taking this stuff seriously because these are all golden nuggets. So the next one that we're going to talk about is discipline. And I think we all know the word discipline, definition, the practice of training people to work within a code of behavior. I like that definition because I'm a trainer here in my life and in the work that I do, and I take it very seriously. So it's a discipline that you would master in terms of we're in the sales world, what we do, and so we're teaching the discipline of sales. But discipline is also a principle in that you can be disciplined. You can be disciplined about the things in life that matter. So discipline could be something as simple as you're trying to get into fitness. You're trying to get in shape, trying to lose some weight, just trying to be healthy. Well, that requires a ton of discipline.
Yes, it does.
And I'm a fitness guy, so I struggle with this, all the time because sometimes I want to eat that piece of cake, or I don't want to go to the gym. I want to sleep another hour, or right? Well, we know that in order to be successful at that, you have to be able to say no. You also have to be able to say yes to things that are tough to do. So discipline, guys. I mean, Della, you've got some thoughts on this?
Well, I just wanted to throw out, being the scientist that I am, that the University of Scranton took a poll in January, and this is January, and what do we all do at the beginning of January? Resolutions. 92% of people who set goals at the beginning of each year don't achieve them.
92% don't achieve.
92%.
I believe it.
That sounds terrible.
And yet, when we
8% do?
that means 8%.
On the bright side, Sean, I like it.
That's it. Because, and those 8% probably are principle-centered people, because you just
Well,
said
they're disciplined. You can know that.
It's tough
Priority.
to do. It's,
Well, they have they're motivated for one reason or another to see it through.
I think there's a motivation there. Yeah.
one of the quotes that I found from Mr. Covey's book, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People was that balanced and disciplined people live to work and work to live, but that's not all they do. It states that they have home lives of comfort and security. And I thought that was really important, because when we're talking about discipline, we just think it's, you know, go, 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 go. But discipline can also give us that feeling of comfort and security, as
Absolutely.
your physical attributes show right here. You are,
my physical attributes
Yeah.
show right here.
Yeah,
I
it
am
shows
in my
comfort
bathing suit right now.
No,
No, he's not.
no, he's not.
No, I'm just kidding.
But you're comfortable because you're healthy. You know you're healthy. You're
Yeah.
secure in the knowledge that your body is running the best it can. And so for your friends, for your families, you're going to be there over the
Yep.
long haul. And that's all a part of discipline.
That is key, because I am disciplined when it comes to fitness, and I'm healthy. I mean, I'm doing pretty good, and I can be here for my family and my friends, and I have energy to do things. The job, my work. You know, I get up early and I get to work and I show up and I work long hours
Put in overtime.
and put in overtime, and my health is a huge asset there, and it's I owe that to the discipline that I've established. So discipline, guys, it cuts across the board, and I think that we can recognize the value of that, obviously in ourselves, but in others. We know people who aren't disciplined. You know, they just kind of go through the motions and, you know, scrape by, and the results they get maybe aren't the results that they wanted. And so always developing discipline, working on it, and recognizing it in others, and certainly recognizing it in that potential mate. You know, we want to be disciplined because we want somebody in our lives that is disciplined also. So, you know, Austin, what do you think about this one? Because
I love what Della said about the comfort and security. In my case, you know, I have never been one to want to do presentations. I think like most people would get very nervous.
Love
You know, and so my heart, you know, it's already pumping just thinking about it. So my whole life I've had so much anxiety, you know, almost like an animosity towards doing presentations.
Wow.
And in our line of work and the trainings that we do, there's a lot of presenting. And it kind of brings me back to a quote that I read from a book called Time Warrior. It's a very simplistic quote.
Is that by Steve Chandler?
It is, yes. And it was the way out is through.
Yes.
So very,
Beautiful.
very simplistic.
That's
the way out is through.
the
So,
way out
so
is
for
through.
me to deal with all the anxiety, almost all this anguish that I feel, and you know, I'm me putting presentations on this pedestal. You know, the only way I can conquer all of those negative feelings is being able to go up there, know my material, and be able to just nail it. And so for me, the discipline comes in when I am practicing, you know, our scripts, practicing the plan. So when Monday comes and we do our, you know, presentations in front of everyone, I do feel that security and the comfort because I do feel like I know the material, and so I can perform it better. And at this point, I'm almost looking at areas where I can improve it, because I'm now setting this level or this bar for me. Right? And I want to improve upon those presentations. So the way out for me was to know the material and be disciplined enough to do it in my own time, and to really be able to you know, nail it when it comes time to being at work and doing it in front of the whole company.
Perfect example.
That's beautiful.
That's
you know,
perfect.
Sir Winston Churchill said to the globe during the World War II, he said, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And that's discipline, and that's exactly what you're talking about, right, Austin?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
So what's that saying again?
The way out is through.
And that means go through it.
Right.
You have to. You
Just
can't go around
through
it. You can't hide away from
Oh,
it.
wow. I like that one. Make sure you share that one so I can put it somewhere, retain these great quotes.
Another one of Sir Winston Churchill's was, if you're going through heck, because I don't know if I can say that word, if you're going through heck, keep going.
Keep going.
Okay.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah. That's the only way you can eliminate whatever it is that you're going through.
Beautiful. And as it relates to the dating doctor, we want to be able to offer that to our mate, and we certainly want that in return, that level of discipline to get the job done.
Absolutely. And I think that breeds consistency. And I think, you know, just with, you know,
it
health,
does.
you know, you have to be consistent with working out and eating correctly and, you know, doing all those things, getting enough sleep. So when you're you know, disciplined, you're building that consistency. They go hand in hand.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, so we all, I think, are fans of discipline as a principle.
Yeah, I'm not so good at that.
Well,
Discipline is not my big thing. I'm very bad at my discipline, hence the fact I'm 41 years old and I'm not where I want to be in life right now. So as a 41-year-old woman, a mother who's grown, and children are grown, I need to be more disciplined in my own way and follow through, like you said, and things like that. I do recognize my father being very disciplined my whole life. He's very disciplined on everything, and I don't know how he does. Still can't figure out how he does it, but I'm learning. And it does make life go better.
there we
You are
go.
disciplined and you get your stuff together and make it work. So I am a work in progress in the discipline area.
Try one thing. I always say to people, pick one thing and kill it. Whatever that one thing is, and recognize and give yourself credit for that one thing. And then after that one thing you master it, then pick another one. And you just find that in life you probably only need about half a dozen things you're really disciplined at to have a good life.
Yeah.
I mean, be honest with you.
That was profound.
So
That
really,
was really
wow.
great.
Okay, so discipline. Moving on. The next one, respect.
Ooh.
Respect. Goodness gracious.
Starts with yourself.
Here's a
Does
definition.
indeed.
Here's a definition. A feeling of deep admiration for someone elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. Discipline. I'm sorry. Respect. Respect.
Still on
I'm
discipline.
still on discipline.
Well,
I love
you
that.
respect
I love
yourself
discipline.
with discipline.
So respect, obviously it starts with yourself, like
It does.
Austin said. You've got to respect yourself first. And if you're not there, it's going to be tough to respect others. It just is, because it seems like a natural progression of things in terms of how things flow in terms of nature.
And it's also tough to respect. To demand respect of others when you don't respect
Absolutely.
yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
If you don't respect yourself, you know, not only are you not going to respect others, but they're not going to respect you because
Correct.
you're not.
You're
in your
not
eyes, you're not worthy of it. So certainly, you allow yourself to be treated the way you get treated.
Yep.
I've seen coaches like that. You know, the kids don't, you know, see the coach as being serious. You know,
Exactly.
he's messing around the whole time. So they don't even take into account the plays that he's calling, and they just start doing their own thing because they don't have faith in that coach.
Yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
It goes in every. It's all principle based, right? So it all goes in every aspect of our lives. But how do we apply that to the dating world, or in relationships?
Well, when we were talking earlier about Austin's short term on a couple of
Tinder experience.
I didn't want to say
Let's call it Tinder experience.
experience. We were noting that it's all about look. It's all about look. So once those two connect, once the Tinder wanter and the Tinder wantee get together, then all you've got is disrespect, because all we're going to have here is something physical, and at some point we're going to go in our separate ways.
Well, looks will only get you
scary.
so far, and it's not that far, to be honest with you.
No.
It's not that far.
It fades very quickly.
I think of respect in terms of, the principle-centered approach to dating is we can recognize if someone is giving respect. We can recognize that. And for me, it's a simple thing as, listening. Are you a good listener? Are you paying attention? Are you picking up on what I'm, putting down kind of thing? And when someone's not doing that, we can really sense that there's a lack of respect there. And I don't know, I think of respect, I always think of, do I respect my parents? Do I respect my elders? Do I respect my coaches or figures of authority? And I was raised that way. I had to respect all those people and all those groups because that's what was the correct thing to do. But now as adults in the dating world, how are we projecting respect?
Well, you just said it.
Mm-hmm.
When we respect ourselves, that respect guides our morals, right, and our principles, right? And I think on the flip side, in terms of dating, when we respect others, that's going to show up as good manners. I know that sounds trite, but let's face it. You're going to treat that person on the same level that you treat yourself. So that's going to come off very appealing, I would think, especially as a woman. If I'm with a gentleman who I know respects himself and therefore he respects others, that's very intoxicating, actually. I think that's...
I hear what you're saying. I agree with that. Go ahead, Austin.
I will say that I've seen a lot through friends that there is almost a disrespect to the girls that they're talking to or dating by the lack of communication. You know, there might be, you know, the girl sends a message and the guy will take, you know, maybe hours or a whole day or a week to even respond. And that is, you know, a level of, you know, respect being shown just through the communication, because there's a lack of effort. So it's very apparent when you know, guys are not responding in a, you know, a timely manner, and girls pick up on that pretty soon. I think that's what I see a lot within my friends.
Yeah.
You're reminding me of one other point here, and we're getting close to the end of our show, guys. But when I'm with someone, the respect that person shows for others.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you're in a restaurant, how do they treat that waiter, waitress?
That's big time.
How do they treat other people? Because respect can be manufactured on a one-on-one, you know, first meeting. But when you really get to see is what do they do out there in the world when they're driving their car? How are they treating people? You know, when they see a situation that looks like it should be addressed in just a way that you could express, you know, your feeling. What are they doing? Yeah.
And I think Muhammad Ali might have had a quote that was in line with that, because he always saw how people respected the waiter, waitress, because he always thought, hey, like, I could be that person. I could be that waiter. And so it's interesting to put them in their shoes. And that's, you know, I'm now seeing how they would respect me if we were just in a different situation.
It is an example that could be very simple, but huge in terms of what am I looking at with this individual. So guys, we are at the end of our segment here. We're at the end of our show today. Dr. Carlos will be back next week, and we'll get him roaring with us again. So until next week, thank you for listening, and we appreciate your time. See you next week.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.